And welcome to another edition of the State Champs Power Play Podcast, a special quarterfinal preview. The podcast is presented by National Coney Island and is also brought to you by Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works. I'm Jonathan Kidd along with Sean Belizean. Sean, how are you today? And who's our special guest?
John, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have this guy. He's done a tremendous job at Northville. Great coach, great guy, has become a friend over the years, Coach Robert, Clint Robert. Clint, thanks for coming in, man.
No, thanks for having me. This is great. I love what you guys are doing here. And I want to personally say, and I'm sure I speak for most of the high school, all the high school hockey community, the coaches, what you guys have done the past, half dozen years here for the game, for our game, has been tremendous. Just the exposure, and we really appreciate what you're doing, and look forward to continuing the relationship with you guys.
Before we get to the quarterfinals, we're going to talk about the regionals quick. In Division III, the Detroit Country Day, they beat Flint Powers 2-0. Sam Avola is doing it again.
Red hot team, and it's more than the goaltending right now. I think the team has come together. When you play at this level and you don't lose for a couple months, you're doing something right.
No, that's for sure, and I agree. I think great goaltender. But Frankie's a heck of a coach, too.
Yep.
And what he's done at DCD over the past 8-9 years is unbelievable. You look at where that program was when he took over. I think they got a real legit shot this year. We played Flint Powers. They've got some firepower, and to shut them down 2-0 is just a little microcosm of the season. But it kind of shows you the type of team DCD is. So I watch out for them.
Does this remind you guys of 2014, Farmington, John Letterman, a goalie carrying a team to the state championship?
Man, when you get goaltending this time of year, I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong if you're the opposition. Guys start to think, they start to aim, and it really takes you off your game, Coach.
Yeah, no, you can. You end up pressing a little bit. Like you said, you start aiming, and with Lethman, as you mentioned, we played them quite a few times. What happens is you start pressing, next thing you know, puck's coming back the other way, a 2-on-1, and boom, it's 1-0. Now you're pressing even more because you know who you're going up against. And I'm sure teams that are playing DCD are kind of feeling that way right now.
And up north, Hancock, they beat Calumet in the regional final 4-0. But earlier in the pre-regional, they beat Houghton.
Well, it's a shame that two quality teams got knocked off so early. I mean, Houghton getting knocked off. I mean, they might be the second best team in Division III, honestly. But we've talked so much about the seedings. We'll stick to the ice. Hancock's been the class all year, and one of the things that I've pointed out is their losses. I mean, they're losing by a goal to some of the monsters in the state. So, Clint, to me, they've been the team to beat all year in Division III, and I think going into this point of the playoff, I still feel that way.
Yeah, I had a chance to watch them at the MHL Showcase, and very fast team, well-coached team. I agree. I think that they're probably the team to beat right now. Again, just to piggyback on what you said, it is a shame, though, that when the first couple weeks, teams like Houghton, Calumet are being knocked off, top teams playing, and I know you spoke about it before, and we'll try to stick to the ice, but I'd love to see some seeding happen here.
Amen.
In Division II, we were all at the Livonia-Stevenson-Plymouth game last Tuesday. Stevenson came out 3-2. Your guys' thoughts on the game?
A classic. I tweeted out that night it was an instant classic. That's something that you could sit back and watch again. The crowd was there. Everybody was there. Keeping with one of the themes, my heart goes out to Plymouth because that's a team, they could win Division II. That's how good they are. So to have that happen on the eve of the playoffs, but listen, Plymouth isn't going anywhere. Coach Vento isn't going anywhere. They're going to be back. You've seen them go like this, Clint. You've had an up-close and personal picture. But, in the end, it was Bonet, it was Traggy, a little too much Spartans that night.
Yeah, no, I agree. As far as Plymouth's concerned, Coach Vento's done an amazing job there. We played him twice this year, and I told him after both games, I said, you guys can win Division II. Like, there's no doubt in my mind you can win Division II. Unfortunately, again, you've got, I think at the time, number 1 versus number 2 playing on the second night. And you look at that, like you said, we went to that game, and we had to get there an hour early because there's a line and a crowd, and that's what's so great about high school hockey.
I got there at 5:30.
Right, and they're lined up.
I was watching the figure skating practice that was going on to get my spot in the middle of the stands.
It's outstanding. I mean, that's what I love about our sport is just the passion, the schools, and but again, what a shame that had to be the first night. I mean, I think about that game maybe in a semifinal at USA Arena, and maybe you're selling the place out, and that's what we want. And I have confidence we'll get there. I think the people who make those decisions will do the right thing and get us to that point. But as far as that game's concerned, I look at it, and that line with Chumley, that's probably arguably the top line we played against all year, one of the top lines I saw all year. And to shut them down through the first 2 periods the way Traggy did was unbelievable. They had the scoring opportunities Plymouth had in that game. It was, for it to be 1-0 after 2 periods was a tribute to Trey. Not taking anything away from Livonia Stevenson's team, and then they kind of came out in the third period and kind of took over a little bit in that game. But what a great game, and Mitch, he's doing it again, right?
Yeah,
It's Mitchell.
Yeah,
It's kind of like with Brighton.
yeah.
We go downriver. Trenton played Saline in the pre-regional final. Trenton all out 4-0. They're on a roll right now.
no surprise. Contrary to popular belief, as I wink at my friends from Trenton,
Our buddy Keith.
Yeah, hi. I've been high on this Trenton team all year. I said Trenton's back. Not that they went anywhere, but their back is being one of the teams to beat in Division II. And, tip of the cap to Saline. I think Foz did a tremendous job there. That's a program that you're going to keep an eye on. But Stevenson Trenton, I think to a lot of people that follow high school hockey, all's right with the world, huh, Clint?
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, and you look at Trenton and think about the job Chad's done. I know you joked and said they're back, right? And what were they? They were number 8 in the state for a couple years. Now they're top 5 again in the state. And what a shoes to fill. To have to come in and fill Turner's shoes like that. That's,
Respect.
unbelievable. So that in of itself is a tough gig. And Chad's done a great job. Foz at Saline, what a nice job he's done. They got a young team, and you're right. Look out for them next year. They're in the Final Four last year, and nice team. Foz done a nice job, but boy, Stevenson, Trenton. When I saw that matchup, and I saw it's at Yost here, that's one I'm going to have to make it out to. And part 5.
Yep,
Part 5 right
part
now.
5.
We'll hold off. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Don't get ahead of yourself there, Clint. You're watching and listening to the State Champs Power Play podcast. It's presented by National Coney Island, and it's also brought to you by Northwestern Tech DHVAC School that works in Division I. Brighton, again. Brighton, like Stad said a few weeks ago, it's Brighton. We picked Orchard Lake St. Mary's to beat Brighton in the regional final. Sean, we're going to say sorry.
I'm going to look right in the camera. Brighton, I apologize. I picked against you again. You proved me wrong again. I'm never picking against you again until you play CC. But honestly, mad respect. The premier, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but the premier public school program out there. They just keep getting the job done, Clint.
So Brighton's a program that we look at Northville, and we say that's a team we want to become. Everything they do on the ice, they do all the little things, blocking shots, their wall play, the way they back check. It's unbelievable. Look at Paul. He's been there forever. Right? He's been there forever, and Kivi's there, and Kivi's done a great job with Paul. And just it's funny because you look at some of these benches, there's 4 or 5 guys on the bench. And you look at Brighton's benches, there's Kivi and Paul.
Yeah.
But they just keep winning state championships.
Yeah, right.
And, you never vote against Brighton. Like I always joke, I live in the area, and every time I get off the expressway, I've got to see the sign that says Brighton State Champ, and it's a reminder every year of what we're hoping to get to.
Lake Orion, Stad's a sleeper, beats my sleeper, Utica Eisenhower 3-2 in the pre-regional final. Then Dakota decides, you know what? We're going to return the favor. They beat Lake Orion 5-4 in the pre-regional final. In the regional final.
I remember talking to Tom Markowski about this, and wait a second. There's good hockey out there. That's a football conference. Well, it's still a football conference, but it's becoming a hockey conference too. I think it's great for the high school product that you have some of the success out there. I think people know about Bob Hall. I think people are starting to realize what Nick Field's doing. But hey, how about Dakota? That's a great story. Good for them.
No, it is a good story, and we actually played them last year in the quarters. So this is back-to-back years in the quarters for them, and so you can't sleep on them. Now, I was with Staz. Lake Orion was my sleeper to get to the Final Four. Nick's done a great job. I thought they'd get there, but Dakota came. That's why you play the games, and here they go.
An upset on the west side of the state. Holland West Ottawa beats Granville 2-1 in the regional final. We all thought Granville was going to be there to play CC, but props to West Ottawa.
It's interesting. We had West Ottawa on the state champs rankings about a month ago. So
Good plug.
Thank you. We were. I had some people talk them up. But you're right. I think Granville has been the measuring stick for so long, and maybe they use that for a little juice, if you will, to get themselves amped up. Total props to West Ottawa for getting it done.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure out there, especially the west side of the state, and Granville's been to USA Arena so many times now. I'm sure that's the team everyone's gunning for out there. Granville's got the bullseye on their back, and in a game like that, maybe where you're the underdog or Granville's the favorite, as that game goes on and it's a 1-0 game or a 1-goal game, the pressure gets greater on the favorite. And props to West Ottawa, right? 50 seconds in overtime, I believe, right away. And Joel's done such a great job there. And I thought that this seemed like his most talented team. I thought for sure they'd be back, but again, that's why you play the games, right?
Good start to the Power Play podcast. Clint, are you having fun?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to preview the quarterfinals here on the State Champs Power Play podcast, presented by National Coney Island and brought to you by Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works.
Time starved? Budget starved? Just plain starved? Get to National Coney Island. Come in any time of the day for a great meal served the way you want it. Fast, fresh, friendly. At National Coney Island, you'll find some of the best specials in town. Something for every taste and appetite. All made with top quality ingredients, prepared to delicious perfection, and served up at a price that won't break the bank. Welcome to National Coney Island.
When you graduate from Northwestern Tech, heating and cooling companies take notice. And getting noticed is nice, but even better when it comes with respect.
With a demand for HVAC techs and the type of money you can make in this industry, skilled tradespeople are getting the respect that they deserve.
Hands-on training, experienced instructors, and thousands of Northwestern Tech graduates.
In just 10 and a half months, you can have the career and the respect you deserve.
Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works.
And welcome back to the Power Play podcast presented by National Coney Island and is also brought to you by Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works. I'm Jonathan Kidd along with Sean Belegian and Clint Robert from Northville Hockey. It's quarterfinals time.
Love it. Outstanding. To me, Division II is so outstanding because, you have the usual suspects on one side. You have Heartland. I think they become a usual. I think you have to give Forest Hills NE a lot of credit. They become a usual suspect. Rice and Stevenson and Trenton. And then you have three teams that were intriguing this year. We had Midland Dow ranked at one point in time. The Flivers have been ranked the past couple of months. Davison is another team that we caught an eye on. So, when you have the usual suspect and you have some teams coming up there, I think all of these matchups, it's just good for the game to see that kind of mix, Clint.
Oh, yeah. It's intriguing. It's always fun to see new teams there. And with our team last year getting there for the first time since, I think, 2004, it's great for the community, for these communities, and it's exciting. It's something everybody should get an opportunity to do, hopefully. But, yeah, it's again, though, for the new teams, watch out for those teams, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got that bit of momentum that you haven't had in the past, and I think it does afford some intriguing matchups.
So tonight at 6 o'clock up in Flint, Midland Dow against Heartland. What do you see in this matchup there, Sean?
Well, you know what? I joked with Coach Gadwa. He should thank the good Lord above that I didn't pick Heartland this year because I picked them the last 2 years. So now that I didn't pick them, that means that they might go win it all. But I think that Coach Gadwa and his staff, this might be their best job. When you think of all the losses that they had, and then they got so incredibly hot late in the season, Clint, this Heartland team is capable of beating anybody in Division II.
Oh, absolutely. We played Heartland. Their speed, the way they move the puck, great in the defensive zone. They shut us out 3-0. Ricky does a great job there. I would not be surprised if they end up winning it all this year. I definitely they're a pick of mine to at least make it to the finals.
Me and Sean have Heartland beating Midland Dow tonight. Kingsford, the Flivers, your favorite nickname.
Love it.
Up against the defending state finalists from last year, Northern Eastern. What do you see in this matchup?
Well, you know what? It's a flip a coin. I think, as we've talked about for a while, the Flivers have done a fantastic job of navigating some of the tough teams up there, and I think they've been a good story. I think a little bit too much experience for Forest Hills NE when all is said and done. There are a lot of guys that were at USA Hockey Arena last year are there, and you saw them kick their schedule up this year as well. They went out and played a bunch of the good boys. They got a good program out there, Clint.
So Forest Hills Northeast, and to your point, the fact that they've been there, I think they kind of get what it takes to win in the playoffs. We played them this year in the MIHL Showcase, and shots were 11-11. And they just shut you down, and they pack everything in the middle, keep to the outside, block shots, get pucks out. It's just a real pretty game. Not a real pretty game they play, but it's the type of game you have to play in the playoffs. And I like their team. I haven't seen much of Kingsford, but I wouldn't be surprised to see another low-scoring game, just kind of the way Forest Hills North plays, and they'd probably be my pick to win this game. I
got the Flivers, and you got NE in this one. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to go back to Southeast Michigan. Davison, the Staz's sleeper, against Birmingham Brother Rice. Brother Rice, they are the defending state champs, They're another team that no one's talking about right now. It's like the Brighton thing. Brighton, but it's Brother Rice. Don't be shocked. I told people at the Plymouth Stevenson game and in the Trenton Saline game, like, watch out for Brother Rice. Don't be shocked during the state championship game.
Well, you know what's interesting? We chatted with Ben Zalegi last week, and I said to him, the road still has to go through Brother Rice. This is a darn good Brother Rice team. And, I think sometimes maybe we put too much into perhaps some of the MIHL scores out there, but playing that schedule, as you know, playing a KLA schedule, it just gets you ready for moments like this. They're the defending champs. This team is no slouch either.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Playing the MIHL schedule, playing the KLA schedule, every night is like a playoff game. You any team can beat any team, and you look at Brother Rice. It is funny. It's like they have kind of been forgotten about a little bit, Jonathan, but they are the defending champs. They took CC to overtime, right? I mean, this is a good team, and I wouldn't be surprised. Division II is a gauntlet. Just kind of thinking about it. I'm thinking about this team could win. This team
so
could,
top heavy.
Boy, there are 4, 5, 6 teams that really have a real legit shot to win this thing.
And the game that we feel like this is the best quarterfinal tonight. Trenton versus Livonia Stevenson out at Dios Ice Arena in Ann Arbor. The Trojan Pit against the Stevenson Blue Crew, the battle of the crowds. Wow, this is a flip a coin game.
Can't wait to see the crowd out there at Yost Arena. And it's always so nice to get into venerable Yost. It really is. And what a rivalry this has become. And, not to mention all their playoff matchups, but seeing each other during the course of the year. It's turned into an incredible rivalry. No question about it. Clint, this goes back to your point. Would jaws drop if Trenton beat Stevenson? No. Not at all. And this is why, to me, this year, and I mean no disrespect to Division III or your Division I, this was the one of intrigue to me because I didn't think that there was a clear-cut favorite. I think a lot of people are maybe looking at Stevenson as the favorite, but it's not like a clear-cut favorite. Trenton can definitely win this game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, what a great matchup tonight, right? I mean, like you said, at Yost Arena, how cool is that? But you look at Trenton and the history that they have, the matchup with Stevenson, the 5th time in 5, 6 so years here, and it's a rivalry, but it's a rivalry built on respect too. I remember a few years ago, John, that we were talking earlier. I think Stevenson won, maybe it was an overtime, and Mitchell kind of had a pregame toast almost to the Trenton program. I mean, I thought that was great, and that's what it's all about, right? It's two teams are going to get at it at the end of the day, though. A lot of respect for each other. I can't wait for that game tonight. We'll be leaving here soon to get to that one.
Sean, you have the Spartans. I have the Spartans. My message to Trenton is prove us wrong. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's listen, and I would hope that everybody could understand why you would take Stevenson. Stevenson knock them off during the course of the year. I think they were everybody's consensus number one heading into the playoff. But as we well know, it doesn't always work out that way in the playoffs. And an opportunity night for Trenton.
Jump now to Division III on Wednesday night. Grand Rapids Catholic Central against Detroit Country Day out at Michigan State, the Mud Ice Arena.
That should be an intriguing game. I think Mike Slobodnik has done such a tremendous job out there with Catholic Central for so long. Again, DCD, they haven't lost in about 2 months now. Mm-hmm. And I think what you saw is, I think it started with Sam Avola, their fine goaltender, and I think the rest of the team has kind of rallied around that. By all accounts, they're playing with a confidence right now, and I kind of like the Yellow Jackets in that one.
Yeah, that's going to be an intriguing matchup. I think that's a matchup of goaltenders. GRCC's got a pretty darn good one themselves, and I think this could be one of those games where it's a 2-1, 1-0 game, but where you look at and the shots are 27, 30 or something, where there's a lot of scoring opportunities, but just one of those good, low-scoring, entertaining hockey games. But I'm going to stand by. I like DCD.
Up north, we have Hancock against Big Rapids. They're going to play this game up in Sault Ste. Marie. Big Rapids been in the finals before. Hancock, one of the favorites to get down to USA Hockey Arena. Your thoughts on the game?
Great story. Tim Blashel's done a good job with Big Rapids. Now, I haven't seen him yet. Everybody's talking about this goaltender up there. So, again, going back to a theme of today, a goaltender can change everything. Hancock has been the prohibitive favorite in Division III. I think that's safe to say. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Big Rapids. But, they found a way to knock off a pretty darn good Sioux team in overtime. And when you have the goalie, things can go your way. There's no doubt about it. I just think too much out of Hancock. I've been consistent. I think they're the best team in Division III all year.
Yeah, I think Hancock's the best team in Division III. I think they're one of the top 3-4 teams in the whole state. And that Hancock, I'm going to stay with. That's my pick to win Division III.
an interesting quarterfinal on Wednesday night at Yost at 8 o'clock. Riverview Gabriel Richard, Staz's sleeper, my sleeper, going up against Chelsea.
It's going to be a darn good game. You talk about low scoring games. Look at that one. This game screams 1-0, 2-1, 2-0 to me.
And Richard beat Woodhaven 1-0 in the regional final.
Yep, that's what this game screams that to me. But this is another flip of the coin game. It really is.
I think we see Chelsea in the finals, semifinals this year. I think this is Don's year to get there. But yeah, that's a very interesting matchup right there.
I have Chelsea. You have Chelsea as well.
Yep.
It was a funny story. On Saturday, I stopped and watched the Richard Woodhaven game, and one of the assistant coaches came up to me and said, "We're going to prove you wrong." He literally looked at me. So, Sean, I know we're good friends. Prove us wrong.
Good luck, man.
Our last quarterfinal in Division III, Livonia Churchill against Liggett. They're going to play this game at the Farmington Ice Arena. This is an intriguing matchup because Livonia Churchill, for everything they have gone through this year, with Jordan Venigoni leaving the team, injuries, they were a 500 team. Here they are.
Well, you know what's interesting? I was talking about this earlier. I was banging the drum for two guys last year to win Coach of the Year. I thought that Jason Reynolds deserved it in Division II, and I thought some guy named Clint Robert deserved it in Division I. You know what? You give a late push to Jason Reynolds and the Chargers because, they went through a lot of adversity. They had a lot of injury, and they have found their way back to this spot. It's a great story. Coach, I don't know if you remember, but you and I talked about one of their players, number 7, Zach Benedetti, and this is a young kid. What team wouldn't want an energy guy like that? Johnny had the hat trick the other day, including in overtime. This is a young man that you liked his game as a sophomore, and he's gone like this now in his junior year, leading the way for the Chargers.
Tons of energy. I think any coach in the state would take him on their team. And you're right. You look at the job Jason's done with the adversity that they've faced really since Christmas and some of the injuries. Being an old Churchill grad too, I wouldn't hate seeing them making it to the Final Four. But Liggett's a heck of a team, and obviously have had a great run here. I think that's going to be a very intriguing matchup, and that being at Farmington Ice Arena, I think that might be one that I may make it out to myself.
I might see there. It's interesting talking to some people with Liggett, and somebody reached out to me and gave me some information. Dylan Paulsols, leading the way as their captain. Grant Lindsay, I know we featured them before on State Champs. Another plug. Yeah. Grant Lindsay is another one of those goaltenders that if you haven't heard of the name, I think you're going to hear of the name, and you're going to continue to hear of the name as well. So this is going to be a fantastic matchup in Division III.
Yep, and I have Liggett because I picked Liggett to go to the state finals. But interesting note, I just noticed this now. You have a KLAA team in each of one of these divisions.
Yeah, that didn't go unnoticed by me. I definitely noticed that.
I had to throw that out
I'm not even going to try to hide my bias. Obviously, I'd love to see the KLAA sweep this year, and we're going for it.
I had to throw that out there quick,
awesome. That's awesome.
All right, in Division I, Saginaw Heritage, another sleeper. They're going to go up against Dakota, 6 o'clock up in Flint on Wednesday night. Heritage, they were in 3, they're in 2, they're in Division I, now they're in 1 this year. Good game.
Speaking of coaches of the year, J.J. Bamberger, I think, deserves a heck of a lot of credit. They've done a great job to get this far. For a lot of people, they've been on the map. And I remember when we did the picks with Staz, I was like, well, can we even consider them a sleeper because they've been so good? But I get the point. I like Heritage in this game, though. I like Heritage in this game.
Up at Ferris State, we got Traverse City West against Howland West Ottawa. Can West Ottawa ride that momentum after that regional final win?
That's another intriguing game. There's some darn good hockey going up there. I think everybody, likes to make that trip up to Traverse City, Traverse City Central, Traverse City West. This is an intriguing one to me. I'll tell you what, I wish I could make my way to Bulldog Country because that would be one that I'd like to watch, Clint. This is a shrug the shoulders one. Like, okay, well, I don't know how this one's going to go. I'm going to point blank. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. We haven't played West Ottawa. We play Traverse City every year. We do make that trip up Traverse City West, and every year I feel like they're one of the most physical teams. Again, they do the little things. They get to the net. But for both Traverse City West Ottawa to be there, I think just a cool story, and it's exciting to see that one of those teams will be at USA Arena.
And out in the Lansing area, we got Brighton against Lowell Caledonia, the combined squad. Brighton, it's going to be too much for Lowell.
Well, here's another thing. I brought this. The OK Conference is known for its football prowess.
Yep.
Maybe people should start talking about their hockey prowess because their Tier 2 teams really made a statement this year. So props to them. I'm with you. I mean, Brighton is one of the best teams year in, year out. A little too much Bulldogs there.
Yeah, yep, Brighton.
And in our last quarterfinal, we got Detroit Catholic Central against Cranbrook. I was talking to Clint before we went on. I feel like this is the game that CC needed before the potential of Brighton. If it was going to be another coast game, I don't think they'd be ready. But I think this will be a tough test to help them prepare for Brighton.
Cranbrook has played their best hockey all season. I think it's safe to say in the past few weeks. And, it built it to a crescendo, ended up knocking off UAD in overtime. I was at the game back in January where they hung tight with them. CC pulled away late. I think the score was a little deceiving, though. I think it was 6-3, if I remember. The final score was a little deceiving. Cranbrook's playing their best hockey, but I have to continue to say this, John, and I'm sorry to Coach Cal. This CC team is the best high school team I have seen. I mean, really, they are that deep. They are that good.
And you guys played CC last Monday. What was your thoughts of that? I know it was not the result that you wanted, but your thoughts on seeing CC up close this year?
So we talked before the broadcast here, and in my history, we played them 9 times, and this was definitely the best Catholic Central team that I've seen in that time. So that's going back 12 years or so. This is the best CC team. They're just so fast, and the way they move the puck, and they come at you at waves. But had said that, when you look at Cranbrook, it's I always hesitate to kind of make a team coached by Andy as as the underdog. I think this is going to be a great game. It's 2 MIHL teams. Like you mentioned, it was 6-3 last time they played. I think probably CC just has a little bit too much, but I think this is going to be an extremely close game. I mean, Cranbrook is just unbelievably coached, and
in your time against CC, you guys beat them one time. It was 2008. Just talk about that game, that environment.
Was that 10 really 10 years ago?
That's amazing.
Was that really 10 years ago?
It's unbelievable. I think about just I had 0 kids then. Now I have 4. But that was 10 years ago. I'll never forget. We tied the game with about 30 seconds to go. Ross Reel had taken a puck where no man wants to take a puck. Maybe a minute before that, and he was laying behind the bench when we scored. And I turned around and I said, "Ross, we just tied." He goes, "Yeah, I can hear." And he actually scored the game winner in overtime. What an unbelievable atmosphere, that rink. It's something that when you see those guys now, that's the first thing they bring up. And I go back to even the next year, 2009. I thought the atmosphere of that game, because it was the rematch, was unreal. And I joke with you, Jonathan, you put the highlights of that game up, and we lost that game 1-0. And I think going into that game, we were 1-2 in the state, and that was the second round of the playoffs. And that's the first time I had seen the highlights from that game. I didn't really want to watch those. And but just seeing the crowd again and the atmosphere. And again, if anyone is listening out there, seating, I just think about those 2 games being played at CompuWare as opposed to the first round or second round at Nova Ice Arena. Not just for our team, not just for Catholic Central, but for high school hockey in general. Would be amazing.
With this, talking about the seating, I know we have talked in lengths about this. But this would have been a perfect scenario on some of these teams that are left. Like, they can do a reseeding so that it can be CC and Brighton in the state championship game. It's probably going to work out. It's still going to work out soon. It could be Stevenson and Heartland in the finals. We'll see how it all plays out. But would this be the perfect way to do it if it's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to take baby steps. I think we need to do 3 weeks. I think that's the first thing for travel purposes, and we are dealing with scholar athletes, so we got to make sure that we're not taking them out of school. Maybe we start with seeding the regions and move on from that. I know you got the regions. There should be maybe 8 teams. Not always 8 teams in a region, but if you looked at the way the brackets were this year, and you kind of looked at each 2 regions that funneled into the Final Four, geographically, I don't see any reason you couldn't have gone 1 through 16 at the very minimum there. And I honestly don't think that would have been difficult at all to do. The question is, how do you seed? Where do you get that seeding from? Maybe just you look at my hockey rankings, and maybe you do it early in February or late in January, so you have some time to kind of make sure you have those matchups in rinks. But just for the sport, I think that's what you've got to do.
I think, just to piggyback on what he said, I at the very least, how about even a reseed when you get to this point in time of the year, or at USA?
Right. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Because all the arguments go out the window when they're all in the same building.
Yeah.
When everybody's at USA Arena.
That's what they do in wrestling. They're all in the same building for the top 8.
Yeah, so guess what? There's no reason not to reseed. There's no reason. I agree with what you're saying. I would use state champs rankings, but no, I mean, all jokes aside, aside, why not?
Right.
Why not have 1 versus 4? And you know this, Clint. We saw a bunch of scouts out at the game that we were all at against Plymouth. Scouts come to those games, man, and that's So then you at least tell people, all right, this is our 1, this is our 4, this is our 2, this is our 3. Everybody wins because you're still there. You're not taking away from anybody. You're not trying to minimize or maximize what somebody did. They earned their way through their bracket. Let there be no mistake about it. But what's the harm in reseeding them?
You could almost even do that at the quarterfinal level if you had rinks where these quarterfinals are designated this rink this weekend, and then the following weekend your Final Four. It's 100% the right thing to do.
Well, good luck to all the teams in the quarterfinals. This was our special quarterfinal preview on the State Champs Power Play podcast. Sean and I are going to be back on the mic Thursday morning to do a semifinal preview. Sean, you want to do it?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah.
He had that look like
No. You know what? Thursday is a day that I'm just going as a quote-unquote fan and a member of the media. I have to work Friday and Saturday because I'm doing the D1 and D3 broadcast, but anytime you want to do it, man, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we're going to preview the semifinals. We're going to do this early Thursday morning. We'll tape it, and then we'll put it out before the games on Thursday. So
awesome.
I'm Jonathan Kidd along with Sean Belegian. Thank you very much, Clint Robert,
Awesome.
for
Thank you.
showing up
Thank
on
you.
the podcast and your thoughts. Just thanks again.
Thank you.